It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Namaste and welcome to the Divas That Care Network. I'm your host, Gia-Raquel Rose, owner of Airs Above Yoga, and you are listening to Above the Ground podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, our network is going into its 15th year and listened to in over 30 countries. I'd like to personally thank you for giving me the gift of your time, as it is my honor to hold space with you. And we're continuing on this theme of surrender for this little sequence. And it's so important because I think that as humans, it is in our nature to consistently control, to seek control, to try and feel a sense of safety via control, to feel that as long as we are in charge of events that are unfolding, that they will unfold in the way that we ultimately want them to or think that they should. And this inevitably, at some point, you will realize in your life that there is only so much that is actually within our control. And it's fairly limited. What we actually have the power to control in our lives is a very, very small, a fraction really, of what we experience in our lives. And a lot of times it takes traumatic things to occur in our lives to really drive this reality home. And while I wish no trauma on anyone and I wish only love and light to all the beings out there, it is unfortunately a truth that when things are going well, when things are going great and smoothly, you can attempt to take all the credit for yourself that you want. And I did this and I made this, and, and kudos to you because, a lot of times it is you and it's your effort, it's your diligence, it's your discipline, your will, your intention, whatever the case may be. But a lot of times I also feel like there is another element in play. And I want to be conscientious about how I navigate this, as I always try to be very careful. And so I'm going to preface by saying this isn't about me, but just a little bit about the background, the backstory for this mentality is I was raised Catholic. This is not about that, but I was. And I also walked away from the church and then became a yoga instructor. And so I've always had an element of the spiritual in my life. And as a yoga instructor, I've been very, very conscientious about keeping a very strong line between the physicality of the practice and the benefits that one can take from the practice, body and mind, from the spiritual essence or history or root of, no pun intended, root of the practice where it stems from originally, right? Thousands of years old. It was steeped in spirituality. Women technically weren't even allowed to practice yoga. Don't even get me started on that. That's a can of worms I'm not going to touch on right now. But in essence, in order to be able to allow people to feel at ease in a yoga practice, especially if they happen to be of a religious bent, or if they happen to be anti-religious for that matter, I always try to stay in the true, almost tangible, we'll call them tangible benefits of yoga that they can take for what they want from it. And I a lot of spiritual people will say, take what resonates and leave what does not. And I'm going to steal that line from them and say the same thing, and I use that in my yoga practice as an instructor. Take what resonates and leave what does not. Don't, if the spirituality of the practice is out of alignment with you, focus on the physical and mental benefits that you receive from the practice. They are many. If the spiritual nature and the calmness in the mind allows you to tap into those higher realms, quote unquote, or those deeper layers, whichever way you want to go, deep within or as above, so below, however you want to take it. The point of this is to realize that we are, when we practice yoga, when we meditate, we are practicing an element of surrender. But when we are practicing, whether it's the physical or the mental, because I'm being very, very going to call it again, air quotes for those that are listening, basic, okay, about this delineation. I'm going to say meditation for the mind, yoga for the body. Now, is yoga a form of moving meditation? Of course it is. Is meditation a form of an arm of the yoga practice? Absolutely it is. So I'm really just trying to make this accessible and really break it down. But it's much more in depth than this. But for the point that I'm trying to get across here is that there is, through the physical elements of yoga or the quote unquote mental elements, meditation, or even just the quieting of the mind by the physical asana, the physical practice of yoga, we hopefully come to a realization, and I want to say one that almost can't be refuted, that even if you are not spiritual in nature, or even if you are not necessarily religious, especially if you're not religious in nature, or even if you are very religious in nature, whatever extreme, if you happen to be away from the middle road and fall into any of these extremes, I hope that you can at least acknowledge that there is a higher you. There is a higher self. If you're religious, maybe you call it your soul. If you're spiritual, maybe you call it your connection to the divine, to source, or your higher self. If you are neither religious nor spiritual and you fall into the category of not believing in those types of things, which is completely your choice, and, namaste to you. Namaste actually means the light within me honors the light within you. And so do you honor that light? Do you believe in that light in yourself? And if you struggle with that, then I encourage you to develop a yoga practice or a meditation practice so that you can start to distinguish between your mind chatter and your higher mind, your higher self, we won't even say divine connection. We will just say your higher self. And I'm going to use the term higher self. So I wanted to back us into why I was doing that now. So I just want this to be accessible for everyone, and I don't want anyone's feathers to be ruffled, because the bottom line is, and I say this all the time, yoga is for everybody, every body type, everybody as a human, everybody. I mean, even dogs do yoga. So I want it to be accessible, and I don't want someone's belief systems to come up against a wall that takes the benefits of this practice away from them. And so, whatever your belief structure or system, I hope that we can at least come to terms with a higher self. And then you can expand upon that based on your own belief system, whether it's spiritual, whether it's religious, whatever it is, whether it's, I will say, God, whether it's your connection to source, or whether it's just your higher self, where you are when your mind is still and when you're not trapped in your ego. Spoiler alert, now we're getting to the real point of why I'm getting into this. And one of the reasons is this is a meditation episode. We are going to go through a surrender meditation. And one of the reasons that I wanted to preface with all this is because I'm going to use what I think is a little tongue in cheek, but a very basic, again, air quotes around basic, thing that I think that a lot of people can resonate with. So whether you have a very happy, healthy relationship that you've been in for a number of years, whether you're married, whether you're dating, whether you're single, no matter where you are at some point in your life, and I think hopefully this is true for many people, you dated. You went on dates. And it doesn't matter who you dated or who you love. I don't care, and it's none of my business. But I want to use this metaphor to get us into this idea of surrendering to that higher self, because I think we've all been in this situation. So let's say that you went out on a date with someone, whether you met them on, an app, or whether you knew them, whatever it is. Let's say that you went on a date with someone. And then after that date, there was the whole, are you going to reach out? Are they going to reach out? I'm doing an eye roll for those of you that are listening to this and not watching it. But so there's that sneaking in of control. Okay. So as soon as we enter the unknown, right? So the known spaces, we know we're going to go on this date. We enter this situation with this person. It goes well or it doesn't go well. Honestly, that doesn't really matter. But for our purposes, we're going to assume that it went well, so that we want more of this person, more experience in a preferred direction with, let's say, this person that we went on this date with. So coming from that place, and now that we've had the date, we've had a positive, we'll even break it down for positive reinforcement. We've had a good experience, a positive experience in this situation, and we want to create more of that good experience. So now we're moving into the, okay, now that I've experienced something positive, I want more of this. And then the next day rolls around and we're going to, we could go all Sex in the City on it. And we could go, do you wait 3 days? There are all these dating rules. That is super not why I'm here. But I just want to go into the control aspect. And I think that this is super relatable for many people, because now, whether you're, again, no gender, whether you're male or female, no matter who it is, whether you identify however you identify, the person, the human whom you were out with, it doesn't matter. But what does matter is who's going to reach out. And are they reaching out, or are you reaching out, and who's going to do that? And if you at all want to continue the connection, you probably, I'm going to say, as a woman who does identify as a female, do you? Is that something that you do? Or do you wait? Do you stay in your receptive feminine energy, or do you reach out? And if you do reach out, what are they going to think? And oh my gosh, the spiral, the downward spiral. It's not an upward spiral at this point. It's a total downward spiral. And you drive yourself nuts, and you call your girlfriends or your boyfriends, or you call whomever, and you talk about it and you analyze it to death. And then there goes the spiral. So the spiral, right? This thought process of what do I do? What do I do? Is your mind chatter. It is your ego. It is your lower self. It is your base self. It is your fear-based self, because we are now starting to spiral into, how do we respond? How do we react? And we get all this fear of, if I do this, then something bad could happen. If I don't do this, something bad could happen. And it turns into, a very anxiety-inducing situation for yourself. So the point of this meditation is to get us out of that and into, so I'm not telling, this is not my point. This is just a metaphor. I'm not telling you what to do in that situation. I am not going to be giving any dating advice whatsoever. It is super not my bag. But what is giving you a hopefully very tangible and relatable metaphor as to what is basic human nature, and something that I think that no matter who you are, you can identify with, to give you, again, that analysis of higher self, higher mind, and like base limbic system, animal nature, fight or flight. Oh my God, I want this more. And so what do I do to make that happen? And so it's as soon as we say, what do I do to make that happen, that we are now dropping into that ego place, that focus place, that control. And that's the place that we're trying to lift higher than. And so because of that, again, the reason that I'm not going to tell you what to do in that situation is twofold. And one of them is because in a meditation practice, you may or may not receive insights into your next best step for your whatever your situation may be, whether it's the one or not at all the one, it doesn't matter. But the bottom line of it is that, you may receive, when you quiet and still the mind, you cut off the spiral, you may very well receive information from, again, your higher self that may inspire you to take what I will call inspired action towards an outcome that may best serve you. I'm not going to get into whether, what the voice is, where it's coming from. We're not unpacking that, or we will have no time to actually get into the meditation itself. But I feel as though this is a great kind of very attainable, relatable thing that more people have probably gone through than not. And so to that end, when you are entering a meditative state, when you are surrendering control, what I love about, I won't butcher the Sanskrit, but feel free to give it a Google. In yoga, the same word for surrender is to seek refuge or protection. And that's one of the ways where, if you do happen to believe in a higher power, even if it's your higher self, you are really kind of giving it up to that higher power to trust and take care of you. And, it's what I will say is, a lot of times I think that we seek that in others. We try to find that in others. And, every self-help guru on Instagram is going to tell you, love yourself first. And I agree with them. So let me just be that. Let me just, second that. But I also think that there's an element of enabling yourself to recognize that higher self that you are, that you have. Again, no religious spiritual alignment to it, but that there's base you who's spiraling, and then there's the higher you who's calm, cool, and collected. And that a lot of times when we enter fear-based, I mean, listen, our lives have a lot of stresses and anxieties and worries and responsibilities. It's just the nature of humankind and how we navigate this existence. And that's okay. I mean, we're here to learn and experience. So you're not going to live free forever, right? Like you're going to go through some things. You're going to have ups and downs, and that's normal. And it's wonderful. It's beautiful. It's the human experience. But when it comes to looking for external, not even validation, but I'm going to say rescuing, looking for the external to someone to run to, right? Is again very ingrained in us. We run to our parents, right? You fall and you scrape your knee as a 3-year-old, you run to mom. She kisses your boo-boo, puts a band-aid on it, it's all better. We look for that at life always. And what I'd like to challenge you to do, and through meditation, and hopefully maybe this meditation will help to start you there or help you get there, is to not just love yourself, but to run to yourself, to cultivate a relationship with your higher self so that you don't feel the need to run to an external anyone, not even mom anymore. Not mom, not dad, not your significant other, not your insignificant other, not your boss, not your nobody. You go to your higher self and develop a relationship with your higher self. And that will help to do a few things. 1, help you to love yourself. 2, help you to know your worth. 3, help you to trust in yourself. And what is surrender if it's not trust? So, what I want to say is that the practice of meditation and the practice of surrender and trust is a practice of surrendering to yourself and your higher self and creating trust in yourself. And it's a challenge. How many of us question our own decisions all the time? All the time on a daily basis. Stupid small decisions. Which route to take to work, which breakfast sandwich to order at your local Starbucks. It's and if you don't, and if you have complete and total trust in yourself at all times, kudos, your work is done. Swipe left, you don't need me. It's fine. But if you don't, or you're working on that, or you've trusted what you thought was your intuition in the past and it let you down, it wasn't right, air quotes again for those of you that are not watching, if you lost trust in yourself, let's say you were in a relationship that went poorly and you thought it was going to be the one. Well, maybe you lost some faith in yourself. Maybe you lost some faith in your decision making. Maybe you lost some faith in your discernment. What if you don't like your job and you thought that it was going to be your career? And then, a couple years in, you're like, is this really? Oh, God, what have I done? Right. So, first of all, people are subject to growth and change. We hope, right? Your preferences are going to change, you're going to grow, you're going to adapt, life is going to happen. And, like the piece of glass that was sharp on the sand and rolls into a piece of sea glass, that's going to be us, right? We refine as we age, much like a fine wine, right? We refine as we age and we start to know ourselves and we develop this trust in ourselves. And again, I'm just going to say, learning to practice surrender, learning to tune into the higher version of yourself, learning to seek refuge within yourself is, in my mind, a constant. The only constant in life is change. Again, I know, very trite, also true. But you And your higher self is always there and always with you. And if you don't want the best for you, if your higher self doesn't want the best for you, well, who is ever going to? So you need to develop that relationship with yourself. And so I hope that this meditation helps to bring you recognition of your higher self, if not the ability to surrender to its voice, to learn its voice. And in an effort to do that, to be still. And whether or not you choose to practice this after a yoga practice, move around a little bit, go for a walk, whatever it might be, um, I hope that it finds you receptive to running home to you, not seeking, and it's not even about validation, not seeking external. And I'm not telling you not to rely on friends and family, just because I was about to say external support. And I'm certainly, hire a qualified therapist, have a professional, have a support system, have a network, of course. But ultimately, all the people that you engage with are going to have their own filters, have their own perceptions and their own experiences, and want, maybe your family may want certain outcomes for you that maybe aren't what is in your best interest, and not in a negative way, but because they have expectations based on their own lives, levels of perception, what they've gone through, what they don't want you to suffer, right? Like, it's not coming from a negative place. Even your therapist, they're going to get paid, right? Like, like, they shouldn't. They have an ethic responsibility not to, but ultimately, always follow professional guidance, even those that are paid professionals, but also have a self. Have a self. Develop your relationship with you. Love, honor, trust you. And meet that mother, meet that therapist, meet that friend group fully standing in your own power. And heed their advice and, take it to heart. Maybe meditate on it, right? But have a true north. Have a North Star. Let that North Star be your higher self. Have an internal compass that points you to your heart space. I did a heart space meditation for the last little sequence. And so this time I want to do a surrender meditation. Again, we're not necessarily surrendering specifically to our heart space, but we are surrendering now to what the heart space connects to, which again is our higher self. So I do recommend for this one, again, as always, whenever you meditate, the most important thing is your physical comfort. And that is because it's very hard to silence discomfort in the body as we are trying to quiet the mind. So make sure that you're comfortable. This is going to be a huge one that I'm going to suggest legs up the wall. I've made that suggestion for pretty much every meditation because it's my favorite, but definitely legs up the wall for this one if you can get there. And please go back to some of my former episodes there was one in particular that I did that was about Shavasana and all the different ways to take it. So definitely give that one a listen to give you a couple pointers onto how to get your legs up the wall with as much grace as possible, because it can be a little bit comical. Or simply just lying down. If it's comfortable for you to meditate, obviously, traditionally, and in a yoga practice, a lot of times having the spine aligned in a seated position with a gentle slope of the knees down and the hips lifted on a meditation pillow, for example, with your chakras aligned from root to crown. If you're going to go into all that, is perfectly fine. If you can be comfortable there, I encourage you to do so. But also, to that end, I think for surrender, laying down and being fully supported is a wonderful place to be. So I encourage you to do that. I encourage you to get a blanket. I encourage you to get, a gentle pillow for your neck if that feels good. I encourage you to get an eye pillow if that feels good. Bolster for behind the knees if that feels good. And make sure that you are totally supported, totally at ease in your body as you come into this meditation. And so taking a few moments to begin to set yourself up, if you're listening to this in that comfortable space, or feel free to pause, set yourself up, and then press play. And then as we do this together, gently begin to close your eyes or lower your gaze. And draw your awareness into your body by connecting with your breath. And as you breathe, begin to feel your body very, very heavy on the floor. And yet completely weightless with the support that the earth provides you. Begin to relax every single muscle in your body. From your fingers and toes all the way up through your arms and legs. As you release your back, your hips, and your heart, feeling completely at ease. Feeling completely supported. Feeling completely safe. And begin to feel that feeling of safety. What does it look like for you? Do you feel enveloped in warmth? Do you feel protected by a cocoon? Or do you feel free, unbound, and untethered? Visualize where and how you feel safe. Begin to feel how the sense of ease washes over you. Feel how your breath relaxes. Feel how the tension in your rib cage, in the back, your shoulders melts away. Know that in this space you are protected, fully and completely. And begin to trust in that safety. And in your mind's eye, begin to look around you. Allow yourself to trust what you see. Allow yourself to believe in where you are and that it is exactly where you are meant to be. And gently begin as you take in the sights of this safe space for you. To look down towards your feet. And begin to feel very grounded and supported. Know that you can stand tall. Know that each step you take is the right step in the right direction. And then from your gaze looking downwards, begin to rise and bring your internal gaze up above you and see out in the distance a soft blue sky. And in the sky is one beautiful, bright, and shining star. And softly begin to walk towards the star. Follow its light and feel its warmth. Knowing that as you make your way in its direction, you are making your way towards your true sacred path. And with each softened step, begin to listen. And what is it that you hear? Perhaps it's the footfalls. Perhaps you feel a gentle breeze. And with every step, feel yourself becoming closer to this light. And as you get closer, see a ray beneath the star, touching down to the ground. Imagine this white, glistening light and step into it. Stand tall and true with both feet firmly planted, arms outstretched, and hands open. Feel the warmth of this star. Feel the presence as you connect from the light within yourself to the light shining down from this star, knowing that it is the light within you, that it is always there, that it is always guiding you. And as you stand in the light of your true north, begin to surrender. Breathe. Feel its safety. Feel its knowingness. Feel its strength. That strength is your strength. This light is your light. This star is you. This journey is yours. Be in this space. Feel this connection. Feel it in your body, in your heart, and know in your mind that
This place is always available to you. And as you stand in the white light of your North Star, of your guiding light, find stillness. Be completely receptive. Feel how this feels in your body. And memorize that feeling, not with your mind, but with your entire being. This space, this feeling is how you know the path you're on is truly yours. You will feel softened by this light, supported by knowing that you can follow it, surrendering to its existence within you. And as you begin to walk back from the footsteps that carried you to this beam of light, notice how it follows you. Feel that now, instead of being a journey towards your North Star, its light shines down upon you on your journey back to yourself. Feel its warmth, feel its ease, feel its truth following you as you follow your footsteps backwards from where you came. And when you reach your starting point, where you looked up and saw this light. Feel that it is now still directly over you. You no longer have to look for it or walk far to reach it, because it is with you always. And notice how when you look back down at your feet, they are surrounded by light. Feel the warmth of the ground beneath them, and feel the warmth from that ground moving through your entire body as you lay on the floor. Feel this guiding light shining down upon your face, upon your heart. Feel the ease. Surrender to that feeling. Surrender to that knowing. And surrender to this truth. That you are connected to this light always. It shines down upon you always. You are not lost. You are found. You are whole. And you are safe. And as you bask in the glow of your own star's light, begin to deepen your breathing, bringing that light home to yourself as you lay on the floor, fully supported. And as you deepen your breath, begin to ground yourself back into your body by making small, gentle movements, wiggling fingers and toes, hands and feet. And gently beginning to roll onto your right side. Pausing for a moment just to make sure you still feel the warmth around you. Before finally making your way into a comfortable seat. From your seat, beginning to feel that light still above you as you gently open your eyes. I hope that this meditation brought you peace and helped you to connect the light of your soul. It has always been there. It will always be there. And the more you remain in this connection, the more you will make aligned choices for your highest and best good. As always, if you ever feel that you need the help of a professional, please always trust your instincts. I hope this supports you, that it is never meant to take you away from steps that you've already taken to nurture yourself, whatever those steps may be. And so I would just like to thank each and every one of you for sharing this space with me. And please feel free to share the same with your loved ones. For so much more, follow me on all the socials at Above the Ground Podcast, or visit my website to connect with me at airsaboveyoga.com. And as always, please remember to have a listen to my amazing sisters at Divas That Care Network. You can find us on divasthatcare.com, SoundCloud, Spotify, Odyssey, Apple, or anywhere else you may feel guided. Again, this is Gia-Raquel Rose, owner of Airs Above Yoga, and you're listening to Above the Ground Podcast, where every day is a good one.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.